Ready?
All right.
You want to stand up?
If you want us to.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alright, so we have a budget. Kind of figured out the positions we were gonna be utilizing. Job description, does anybody else have anything that they think that we can come up with that would help sell the plan in to the budget committee and the people?
Besides the fact that we're carrying the majority of the cost?
Well, that's already been established. It's one of the reasons why we're doing it in the beat. That was probably like, what, 2 or 3 meetings ago? Job descriptions, there's nothing online.
I think that there'll be, I think the job descriptions, I think that what we need to do is come up with a plan to present it to the budget committee. And then be able to present it, like when we go on to speak, or we have that presentation where we all sit up and go before the townspeople and the voters. I think that maybe if we could have some kind of a PowerPoint, something that we could say, this is what we looked at, these are our reasons, this is the educational reasons, because they need to know that Milton is going in one direction curriculum-wise, we're going in another direction curriculum-wise, and that was one of the driving forces in us to make a decision, I think, the second time.
To look at it.
To look at why separate and why now, even after the committee that we were on said, you know, it's not in the best interest.
Well,
But
no, that was never, no, that, not, it wasn't in our best interest was never stated.
No, it was more of a, not at this time because Milton said no, so we'll say no. And maybe we should, I think that we should have thought it through more.
Right,
and we didn't.
Because basically the committee didn't look at anything.
Well, we looked at some stuff, but not enough to make
Right.
really.
And I brought that up at the last, before they voted to not move forward. The withdrawal committee said, you know, at this time, we're not gonna go forward with withdrawal, but the school board should continue to look into options, and since then, that's what we've done.
So I think that it would be strong if we could give our reasons and then show them the preliminary budget, how many staff, what the benefits would be, the pros and cons of dividing and not or not.
Well, I really can't think of any cons.
Well, we may not have a very long list, but
Right.
we can try to at least show both sides of the picture.
Well,
We would need certainly to establish a reason to the taxpayers and the voters why we would not recommend, or would not, as a school board, would not recommend that the taxpayers accept the withdrawal committee's recommendation.
And I think that that's,
all right, good.
I think that that's in further research and in further situations that have come up since the meetings, that I think it's very clear that it's in the best interest now. And hopefully, if we can do some kind of a PowerPoint, I think the budget committee will understand without a PowerPoint, because their numbers and their logistics. But I want to make sure that the taxpayers and the teachers and the other parents and the families in town understand the specific reasons. And it's not, yes, it's going to help us monetarily, but I don't think that, at least in my opinion, it's not all money-based anymore. I see that we're just going in 2 different directions, and it's going to be better to sever those ties now than to keep having second guesses of, are you working on Common Core? Are you not working on Common Core? If you're working on Common Core for this, how are you working on this for our district? And
They'll be focused only on our district, instead of splitting their time between our district and Milton.
And it's not even split, you know, I mean, there's
No,
3 or 4 sets of buildings down in Milton,
Well-
you know, and we have one set of buildings here, and would be, because we're a smaller system, would be easier to handle for a full-time superintendent and
Right.
a BA.
something else that wasn't in the preliminary budget that we need to reconsider is the transportation. We would have to find out where that would lie, because right now, and building, like the two that we each pay half of.
We don't. I think we
We
take
don't.
care of, the building administrator or facilitator, and then Milton takes care of the transportation part.
I think how that actually works, if you look at the numbers and in the books, that they actually still pay for half, but Andrew would take all of it out of one school system, like he would take Bob Adams out of Milton and he would take Tim out of ours, and then at the end of the year before the books closed, they would reimburse each other for half.
5644.
Yes. So that's something that we didn't have in the preliminary budget when we were looking through. And maybe,
Well,
maybe it will be that we won't need,
Either one.
could possibly be. But that's gonna be, okay, who's gonna take on that role as transportation?
Probably have a bus driver slash dispatcher.
So we would have to figure that out.
Which we had before, right?
Which we did have, well,
We did.
Tim, that's what Tim was. He was a bus driver slash administrator before he became, right, is that correct? He drove bus and,
He
Yes.
did, but he pretty much took care of the whole transportation department.
I think he still
Probably
drives
have to
now.
do
so-
something.
yeah, he still drives now, cause I see him, so.
But he's kind of, when they don't have enough drivers, and he
Yeah.
helps them.
Right.
But there, I think there was a time when he had a route all the time, and that the additional responsibilities was like a stipend. So,
Which it could
I
be
don't go back
again.
that far.
yeah, those are things that we would have to just look in, that preliminary budget didn't include that.
I believe your facilities person, Milton pays 60 and we pay 40.
Mhm.
I'm not positive about the percentages, but Milton does pay the lion's share because they have the additional people.
I would just look at who we have in-house right now and think with our one building and our sets of fields, I would think that the person that we have in place right now would be
More than adequate.
extremely adequate.
So I think that was one of the reasons why we didn't include that.
Well, we still have to put that in that budget
Yeah,
line
put a number-
somewhere.
have to put a number to it, yeah.
We have to put a number to it somewhere, because if you don't have anything, then where's this pay gonna come from?
Well, I mean, as part of the regular staff here now, I mean, in the regular operating budget of the school district, you know, without the SAU involved, the
Oh,
facility.
that's true, because he's out of that already, isn't he?
Right, yeah. But, I mean, it would be, he would just be the facility director. The new title would be facility director here, and whether or not there's a line for that, I think there is a line for that in our school operating budget. So we just
Well-
explain that to the budget committee, and, you know, there's a savings to the SAU, you know, because we already have that position
But
filled in the building.
Do we really need to start throwing titles around? Because as soon
I
as you start throwing titles around, that just means dollars.
I would think at this point in time, we're not anywhere close to titles. I think we're just positions, and they're all just employees. I don't think that there's titles. I don't think that there's any difference
we need
between
to-
anybody at this point in time. It's all just going in, and this is what it is, this is,
Without school dude.
yeah.
And I know we talked about this place for the essay, for our office here in one of the modulars, but is that feasible to do?
I don't know. The last I heard was that basically they have phased out half a modular, and they were in the process of phasing out the other half.
Because of student enrollment?
Right.
Population.
But now I'm hearing that it's all set up as the classrooms. So I don't know whether one of those is gonna be available or not. And I guess we would have to either find out how much one of those would cost to buy. Do you remember what we paid for those by chance?
I think in 2 years, the price can change so much from 5 years ago when we bought those.
Well,
And you know, other schools get rid of them every year because, you know, other schools get rid of them. And you can pick them up, once the SAU is done with them, you can pick them up fairly cheap. You just have to transport them. Most people don't take the tires off or anything and set them up permanently because they're a temporary solution. So maybe we just, and how do we know that we're not gonna have a huge influx?
Right.
Of students, and by then, in 2
We could have
years,
an empty one.
in 2 years, we might have an empty one, or we might be in need of a third. You can't really tell.
Do we have any room, really, with that building, that building from over here out back here? Would we have room for a modular out back?
I can't imagine it. Well, you'd need to tie in with the plumbing, you know, you'd have to tie into the septic and the water lines, and that wouldn't be something that I would encourage anybody to go in that direction. I mean,
We'd have to
It'll
rent an office somewhere or something.
I'm thinking, you know, I think that's maybe, if it's something that we're gonna look into, and, you know, you need training areas, you need a conference room, you need offices. Maybe we look at seeing about a second floor over on the junior high wing.
fill the pool.
Fill the pool. If it's a long-term thing, and you can get a bond for it,
You can ask the townspeople to put on.
I'm just saying, you know, at this point in time,
I'm not.
all of our space, I'm just looking at different options. I'm not saying that that's the options to follow,
She's
but,
being futuristic, Steve.
you know, if this is gonna be something that,
There's not.
What about the old SAU office over there? Is that,
the problem with the old SAU office is it's not handicap accessible at all. And, you know, if we want them to be hands-on in the building every day, they should be here every day seeing. And it's like, if you think about putting it up over there, you have windows all the way around, they're overlooking the playground, you can see in, you can see out, and they're right there. Conferences, everything. And I mean,
Yeah,
it
but
could be an option.
Is it?
But that wouldn't be feasible in 2 years. I don't see having a finished edition.
Well, you can do temporary. I mean, we once March comes and the people tell us which way to go, 2 years is 2 years. It could happen. You never know. And then we have to renegotiate the piece of land and just say, okay, where can we fit?
But we were 2 years 2 months ago. Now we're down to 22 months.
Okay.
Next March, you're talking just a little more than a year.
You never know. I think we have to look and see where our land is.
I don't.
Wavy gravy. Isn't it that we may have the office space right here in the building at this level? I mean, from what I understand, that teacher's room was never finished and completed and never turned into a teacher's lounge or anything like that. Why couldn't that space be the office space for the superintendent?
That's no idea.
I just don't really know if those locker rooms are big enough to accommodate that many people. I think
A
that would
locker
be-
room?
Huh?
A locker room?
A locker room is where the teacher's room was,
Oh.
and it's small.
Well, I mean,
No windows.
No windows. It's like living in a,
cameras.
it's like living in this room right here. There's not a lot of life, not a lot of air. There's actually windows in here. There's no windows. Those are all just cement.
Well, I mean, but it's also where if there's a room there that could be used as storage or something, maybe there's a storage room on this level that's being used as you know, maybe there's a room that's being used as storage. The teacher's lounge could be better utilized as that, and an office could be made into what, I mean, who knows?
I'm not sure.
Do
2
we
years
really
is a
know
long time.
what we have here in the building to offer first? Maybe we should, as a board, Take a look
walk.
around the
Look around
school and
see what we
Take a walk.
can use for space
Like
here
that
and
hallway.
utilize the space.
Yeah,
The
that
whole
hallway
hallway.
right there,
It's huge.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know if it's fire hazard.
If
I
you
mean,
don't-
I don't know if it's a fire exit or
It's a
whatever,
big area.
but that's a big area.
Yeah, you could
I
put
don't know.
you put a desk in one corner and,
I mean, I think there are definite options.
Besides an addition.
right.
right.
Listen,
But
I'm
it's-
just saying,
yeah.
you know, if we know that it's gonna be forever, you never know.
Well, the whole idea is.
But we could utilize space here until we had to. If we put an addition on, we could find space here to utilize until
Yeah,
we had it figured out.
you might not be right next door.
You have at it. You go to the townspeople and tell them you want to put an addition on. I want no part of that. None. I'm not asking, especially with declining student population and
It's true.
in an addition, that's not
Even a
gonna.
modular, it's like, where would the land come from to put a modular on? We would have to look at what we have and figure out where we could put it.
I said from day one, we were all set up for withdrawal. We had our SAU trailer right next door. And no, let's get rid of it. Now what are we looking for? Another,
Honey,
that would have been perfect.
that trailer was gross.
That trailer was pretty good shape for its age. And with a remodel, it would have been fine.
With a remodel, you can get a brand new one. Honey, you were gonna have to go down to outside aluminum on that.
There
If
is an.
Even if there was any, it could have
Yeah.
been probably asbestos.
We do have an abutting lot that the district owns. It's over here as you enter the building. It's a vacant lot that is space to build if there had to be, a building, something put up.
Where?
If these, as you approach, in Dulco Circle, that little vacant, I believe the school owns that.
Right on the corner?
Yeah,
No?
I believe that's part of the lot that Wallace Hill donated, isn't it?
Oh, I didn't know that.
If it
believe it
is,
is.
maybe you could find that out,
I will find that out.
because that might be a perfect place.
But another thing is, if there was a building necessary,
Yep.
where the modulars are now, that could possibly, modulars could be taken out of that area and you could have a 24-foot addition on that, if that was what the voters wanted to do. There
We're
is
just
space.
throwing out options,
There
Steve.
is
Don't take a
space.
deep breath.
Then you can go to the taxpayers and ask them to build another
If
building.
that's what's best, we will, but right now, it's all
I
scenarios.
mean, not we, you.
It's all scenarios. All scenarios.
I'm not asking for another
But
building.
if you have a list of options, you have a list of choices that,
A
what's wrong?
modular would be perfect.
What?
A modular
It would be,
would
if
be perfect.
it was
What's in
ground.
that other modular? The one that was supposed to be vacant?
I think that one of the rooms is empty and the other one is PT and OT.
Overtime and
That could
part-time?
take place here.
Yes,
Don't
part-time and
expect our
overtime.
beginnings to include any kid that's out there. Don't extend that program and use that modular.
It's a very good
You could
point.
be bringing typicals in.
Mhm. We have lots of options.
Just options. We just need
And,
options.
hopefully we're getting a list of options.
Right.
Written down, so that,
You need a pen?
I do, I have a pen.
All right, so
Do you,
why don't you write them down?
are you good at
Cursive?
doing PowerPoints? Do we want to ask Michael to do the PowerPoint? Who's going to do that for the townspeople?
Who's gonna do the PowerPoint to begin with?
The presentation.
One of us will have to do it.
Well, there's no reason.
You'll be able to, you're on the budget committee, is that correct?
Mhm.
So you'll be able to present it to them and the reasons why.
But, I mean, someone has to do, I don't know how to make
Create.
create a PowerPoint.
Well, maybe we can talk to someone in the office or someone can volunteer.
Maybe with the information provided to somebody who knows what they're doing with that type of technology, we could have a pretty good presentation put together
Not very long, short and sweet, right to the point,
with power.
with pizzazz, right?
So, what else do we, is there anything, I mean, with the vote, it's really the withdrawal committee. The withdrawal committee's gonna have a year to come up with all this stuff.
Yeah, but we
And
should,
we should be
start
able-
keep working on it.
Yeah, we
Yes,
should
we
give
should
them
be
a-
able to provide them a
We
head
need to be able to
start,
give them stuff.
Well, absolutely.
a bright beginning.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So is there anything else that anybody can think of that,
Brighter than what you've come up with so far?
besides it? And I didn't think you had anything, thank you very much. Yeah. But is there anything else that anybody can think of that we need to cover? We got the budget, we just talked about,
Staff.
I mean, is it a list of, are we searching for a list of pros and cons? I mean, when you start thinking about positive scenarios, you're not, if the SAU or the superintendent's office was here at this building, we wouldn't be paying for a vehicle to be running around, right? I
Which
mean,
we talked about.
We talked about that.
Okay, so we need to write that down.
So vehicle? Is that a pro or a con?
That's certainly a pro. I mean, if we're not,
you still have that budget that we worked on?
I don't have it on this, I have it on my laptop.
But you still, I mean, you have it.
So what are the pros? List the pros and then we'll do the cons.
less office personnel equaling less payroll and less health and benefits. And
Cash.
hey, Joe.
Staff on site, Bonnie. Superintendent on site.
No rent either.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
No additional utilities?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. It could be a little bit.
It could be.
It could be a little, but it would be included in this bill. It wouldn't have to be separate.
Right.
And then, there would be less insurance, less rent.
Cash. Extra cash.
That's all that is, yeah.
Or less taxation, less need to raise and appropriate funds, which is an abstract idea for most bureaucrats.
So less personnel, less benefits, staff on site, no rent, no additional utilities, cash, less insurance, less vehicles.
Milton gets to have all the meetings in Milton.
Wakefield gets to have all the meetings.
On site.
In Wakefield.
On site. Per Bubba.
So what's the con?
I think you should take that out of the list, because that just sounds petty.
Per Bubba?
Per Bubba.
Oh, okay.
Bubba?
Bubba Brown.
So what are the cons?
There are none.
There aren't any.
Well,
We're getting more administrators focusing on our school district.
We could say less staff collaboration.
Less
Well,
that
cons?
doesn't sound good.
What? No, that doesn't sound
that,
good.
that's a
That's
if
a
you-
positive, actually, because they're doing two different things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Well, I don't know what the cons would be. At this point in time, I don't see that.
There are any.
Taking up 10 parking spots?
We're saving parking spots.
No, we're actually-
We're gonna add parking. That's a con.
But that's not huge because we're
That's
building a
not-
parking lot.
Additional duties? Like our superintendent will be taking on additional duties?
That's not a con.
That's not a con.
Not
No.
that-
You're
It's
dealing with a
multitasking.
smaller,
I
you're
know.
dealing with a smaller student
I know.
body.
I don't even think additional parking's a con.
No.
No.
Could you say, can I speak?
Yes, absolutely.
Could you say that in the beginning, possibly a con might be that you have to spend the time for staff to fulfill these positions you're looking for?
That would be easy.
Well, it may be, your point may be that we'll need to do a superintendent search, we'll need to do a BA
It's kind of a
search.
con, like
Well, we-
searches for if employees, don't take it in-house.
Right. If there's nobody able or willing to step up to the tasks involved, we may have to spend some time searching for these professionals.
Interviews, moving, separation of assets.
I want this chair, you want that chair?
Yeah, it would be, that would be time consuming to do an inventory.
Mm-hmm.
And, the end result would be a pro, but the
Mhm.
con would be taking the time.
Taking the time to do the inventory.
Wakefield file cabinet, Milton's file cabinet?
We get the 56% cabinet, and
Right,
they,
but, I mean, interviews and moving, that's all under the current SAU.
And we may save money doing
So-
those.
Mm-hmm,
So are they cons?
Exactly.
exactly.
I'm
I
sorry.
was just thinking from you having to spend time in the beginning, that it might be.
It's gonna be a little bit of work to figure it all out.
I think it would be work, but once they know, I mean, if they're here and they know that these kids, the Wakefield kids are their only job, I would think that would be a, phew, I don't have to separate.
Right.
Yeah,
I can focus solely on this.
One face all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see it as
I don't see it
con.
as a con.
It's gonna
I
be a
mean-
pro for our kids, you know? The kids are
Yeah,
gonna get the sole
there might be
attention.
some work at the beginning, but it's basically gonna help out the kids in.
Right.
Yeah.
Restructuring is.
I was just talking about some work from
Restructuring
the
is
beginning.
always a
that's all.
little complicated at the beginning, but it usually works out in the best interest.
Right. Streamlining and downsizing and those good things.
Anybody else got anything? that we're not
Cons.
thinking- we're not thinking of? What?
More cons?
No, let's get away, there are no cons. It's a win-win for
It really
everyone.
What about that we
It's-
don't have the burden of, and I find this of sitting in some of the meetings, saying, well, if we vote crazy, they're gonna get the vote they want anyway.
Right.
How about no pressure of a weighted vote? That's a board, that's gonna be better for the board.
Yeah, and have they started shipping any of their kids out? Because they could lose the weighted vote before the withdrawal.
They decided not to. They're gonna stay at Newt and either fix up old Newt or put an addition on. So they're not gonna send the kids Farmington or.
Yeah.
They're not sending them out anyway?
No.
No, they decided not
No,
to.
they decided not to. They're gonna keep them.
Well, yeah, but that would be a pro or a plus, getting away from the weighted vote.
Well, that's what I put, I said downsizing and no more weighted vote. I mean, we'd have control. Control would be in this building.
Local control
Local
would be
control
enhanced.
regained.
Regained, enhanced.
We'll have to have someplace to store all the files that are upstairs in that building. So that's something we're gonna have to consider too. There's tons of them.
There's plenty of places. Look at the cellar.
The cloud, we got the cloud.
You got the cloud, but you got the cellar, it just got hoed
We have
out.
the file, but these are hard copies.
But I mean, if
You're gonna scan them to the cloud?
if you look,
Not me.
we have space
Everyone else has
on
the
premises
cloud, too.
right now to store those.
I have the cloud.
And they could be stored, you know,
They're
I
already-
don't think it's wet down there.
They're already hacking the cloud.
My cloud's happy, it's safe.
My cloud's happy and safe too.
My cloud's full of rain.
Have you guys been in the cellar? Is it wet down there?
Not bad.
So,
I've never seen this all.
so you could
No,
store
no.
files down there?
There's not standing water anywhere, no.
Just
Pallet them up and,
You might need a dehumidifier,
That's
probably or something.
that's okay.
It's not that it's humid, it's, well,
It's a cellar.
But even if we had to get a storage container or something,
That's attractive.
That'll look
No.
nice.
Or a storage unit somewhere off-site.
storage unit.
or
That's what I
plastic
meant.
containers that
And
can
then you're gonna have
handle-
parents call, can I say my file? And it's like, oh, it's stored off-site. It'll take us 3 weeks to get to it.
I'm not asking to build any buildings, I'm not.
I
Sorry.
I
For
think it would,
people or files. What?
I think it would help this whole situation if we, as a board, take the time to walk around the whole building,
And
set of buildings, and see exactly what we have available, make mental notes, paper notes, whatever, and put it together, so that we can give a
Right,
presentation
but
of
to
the
be,
budget.
I don't think there's a lot of room there.
You'd be
In the
surprised.
building
You'd be
that's not
surprised.
being
Would be
used.
You'd be
Steve.
surprised. Sometimes space that people find wasted
Yeah.
or just unorganized can be valuable space.
No, even like that hallway, that's a huge hallway.
Dis-
in the middle.
Disorganized space can sometimes lead
So
to
let's just
treasure.
put it in the hallway and move on to the next thing.
The question
We
to
can-
answer, Steve, is when's the last
Or a
time
partial
you
hallway.
took a
Right.
tour of the building?
Yeah, so
Pardon?
ask
When's the last time
to,
you
ask,
took a complete tour of the building
Right.
yourself?
schedule a walk of the
Do you know
school.
what's available?
Yes, and from what I've seen, I don't see, you might be able to get a little storage closet here or one there, but, I mean, I don't think there's anything in here that's even close to have a superintendent, you know, and a BA and all that. I don't think there's enough room
But it's
there.
okay to take the time and make sure of that, right?
And will you
Yeah.
ask Wallace, or not ask Wallace, but you can check the maps to see if that's part of the, because that could be the answer right there.
It's a building expense, you'd still have to.
It's
go
a
through.
building expense, but it's still a space that's not taking up the new parking lot
Yeah.
and not being shoved in down there where it's already in tight quarters, and you can't take any more space off the backside because then the tractor trailers for deliveries can't get in and out. So you have to think of all of those and accommodate for that.
I know someone was hoping for a workshop, but maybe an
Maybe
SAU
that's
office.
not a workshop, maybe it's gonna be an office.
How big is that?
But.
You
if
could
that-
always-
If that becomes a
Big
workshop,
enough.
I mean, if that becomes a
Big enough
workshop
for an
slash
SAU.
office for maintenance, that space there could open up, where he's at now.
Yep. So who do you have to ask for a walk, Jerry or Michael?
Jerry, I would think.
Okay. Who's gonna call in? Are you gonna call and ask him or email him and ask him? What do you want me to?
I'd like you to, because I'm sure that it would be a more positive response.
Okay.
You know how to ask nicely.
What day and what time is best for everybody?
How about before a meeting?
Which meeting?
Any meeting we have here?
First Wednesday of October,
We have plenty of meetings.
or
First
Well, it's
October.
next week.
we could do it
We,
next week.
we have a policy meeting then, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Can't.
Well, you could say that the other meetings, we have facilities. So,
Okay.
No, which is,
So,
it is a facility
Do you wanna
issue.
meet in the morning?
Can we meet in the morning?
You wanna meet at 7 instead?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, all right, so we'll ask for 4 o'clock. Or 4:30. What time can you be here next Wednesday?
4:30.
Is that good for you?
Mhm.
4:30 next Wednesday before our board meeting? Before our first,
Second.
before,
what,
Next Wednesday.
you wanna wait till the following one with the facilities?
it doesn't matter.
I would rather go earlier, because we may need the later date to do a follow-up or something.
Okay, so schedule a walk at the school, call Jerry for a walk before next Wednesday's board meeting, 4:30 would be great.
I want to move the policy to 7, right?
Yep.
Okay. Here? Yes,
We have to ask Michael.
Oh, that's right, okay.
I'll email him real
Yeah,
quick.
you confirm that.
Yep. Let me log on.
When are you gonna do policy?
Morning?
That Wednesday morning?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we like meeting in the morning, it works better for
Morning's
us.
better for us.
Pancakes?
No, coffee.
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 You're not a morning person.
I am not a morning person, but they all know that, and they accepted my,
Grouchiness?
yeah, they just take it with a grain of salt like everybody else.
Coffee with a grain of salt.
Yeah, it's not bad. It takes the bitterness away.
It's happened in my house.
What else?
Communications.
We
I
might,
mean,
we actually might find
When
it,
did I say, budget
we actually
start?
might find it easier
No,
to take
beginning of
the
November?
kids out of the modular and take over the
Budget?
modular.
Committee?
Find a spot for the kids in here somewhere.
That could be 2 classrooms.
Could.
I mean, that space right there
Yeah.
could be, if you think
that's
about
right.
it, that space right there could be 2 classrooms
And we could take over a modular.
and take over the modular.
Solves all
So
the
you
problems.
have joint, starts in
Okay.
October.
Yeah, November 1st.
November.
Policy.
Yeah, November 1st, 3rd, 4th. And then there's,
When are you gonna give us a class on the iPads?
Me?
Somebody.
You really need a class on the iPad.
Just like your phone.
It's like your phone,
I'm
Just
taking
answer my
notes.
phone, don't answer my
only
iPad.
bigger.
At Paul School, right? Is that right? Paul School instead of the SAU?
Tall school's fine.
Oops.
Yeah,
This is cursor.
you probably wouldn't be able to use that for classrooms.
Why?
Why?
What are you gonna use for fire exits?
The ends. And then put a door in between them.
But I think you need 2.
You could probably make a
One
hallway on
through
one
this
side.
classroom and one through that classroom.
Yep.
you can't put classrooms out there. I remember the fire department said that you can't even put a temporary classroom out there.
Even if you closed it in?
Evidently it's a fire thing.
Really? What was that supposed to be, like open or something?
Original plans, it was open.
Really?
But then they thought a swimming pool was better.
Better than a courtyard.
Less maintenance. Okay, that's been sent.
Okay.
Let me ask Jerry.
So anything else anybody can think of that we,
No, we have a plan. Sort of,
plan, we have a
We have
budget.
plan. We have budget.
which was close to where we figured, or you figured it was gonna be.
Place to put it. Do we really need to worry about,
Done.
job descriptions?
I think we should start working on them or start developing them a little bit so that the,
So we need to see who we have and then what we actually need.
Right.
yeah, I just don't think it's right to just throw all of this at the withdrawal committee with no
Right.
plan, because then they're gonna come up with a plan that might not be what we've got.
Give them the
So
ingredients.
So we take a look at the staff and that we have and the staff we're gonna need, and then we come up with the job descriptions based on that.
Yep.
But we probably could start to work off the job descriptions that we already have.
Right.
If we need them the same titles.
No. We'll just, instead of starting them off at 5 weeks, we'll let them work towards 5 weeks vacation.
So who has the list of job descriptions currently?
They're not online.
You can ask Kathy Vigil.
Okay.
I can, you want me to send her an email and have
Email
her
her,
send it
could
to
you?
us? I can do that right now.
Send them to all of us?
Yep. So,
And that gives us,
We can get you a bigger screen if you like.
I'm actually on a keypad.
those are nice.
Yep, I'll get one soon. Okay. The board would like the following job.
What else? Anything else?
Timing. What is a feasible time frame that this could all happen?
For all what to happen?
For if the voters reject the withdrawal committee's recommendation
In March.
in March, the next step would be that withdrawal committee reforming, regrouping, and coming up with a plan.
No, I believe if the voters accept the recommendation of the
That is-
withdrawal committee in March, you would have to wait till the following March to request forming a withdrawal committee again.
Right.
And that's the whole point of trying to save that year.
So what time frame did you just say? Sorry.
In March, there's gonna be a warrant article asking the townspeople whether or not to accept the withdrawal committee's recommendation of not moving forward with withdrawal. If we can, and this is why we're doing this now, is so that if we can convince the voters to reject the withdrawal committee's recommendation, if the voters reject it, then it goes right back to the withdrawal committee, right then and there.
And
But
who's writing the article for the warrant? Because could it be worded reject as opposed to accept? Because quite
That's what I was
often,
wondering.
a voter would vote in the affirmative
Confused
before.
Michael, doesn't Andrew write those? Or who's gonna be Andrew? Aren't they the ones that write the warrant articles?
Well, they
I think
usually,
the wording on that particular warrant article would be established in RSA. I think the wording that you have to put on your warrant is already established.
And your legal would definitely review it to
I'm
make
sure
sure it
she would.
complies.
Can I just interrupt for a second? The board would like the following jobs descriptions sent via email, please. Superintendent, business administrator, we're gonna need to know about accounts receivables and accounts payables because they're gonna have to merge into someone. Transportation director, facilities director, to know what jobs they do so that we can branch those off to someone else. And what do you consider, I don't know, what, superintendent secretary or?
Everybody-
Administrative assistant.
It's the administrative assistant.
And then who else? Curriculum coordinator?
And
Well,
apparently we have a receptionist as
No,
well,
we
don't
don't, we don't need a curriculum coordinator.
It has to be somewhere. I mean, we're gonna have to either stipend the position out to staff on hand or hire someone that's willing to do both. So if we can put that that's part of their job description, then they're gonna know it when they take the job.
I think you
But
need,
why do we,
I think you need
I
what
just,
Scott,
I mean,
Scott had there.
why do you have to always throw money at people to get them to do their job?
I'm sorry if my word stipend offended you. We're gonna have to find out what that job is and what's necessary in the job,
Right.
and then figure out what it has to be in which job description, the new job descriptions, for someone to fulfill that role.
Curriculum
Sorry.
coordinator could be done by the teachers.
It could very well be.
But
Who
we
else
still
would
need
you
a
like me
job
to do?
description, Steve.
we? We still
We
need
still
the
need the job
description.
description.
Who else would
For
you
what?
like me to have?
For a position you're not gonna have?
Just
Someone
Just so we
for the
understand what
special
they're doing.
education
So
you'll need.
there may be somebody on board
Yes.
already that can do the job. Just
What
want
is
to know.
Ann Keebler's title?
Student services director.
That was Scott's old position, which I think isn't that mandated by the RSA?
There's something about that in the RSA. I'm not sure if the superintendent can take that over. I think the business administrator, superintendent are the two required by the law to have, right?
Mhm. Well, no.
But we would have to
Well,
know-
no, not technically, no, because you don't need a superintendent.
Well, you can do a part-time. You have to have a business administrator, and there were two that were mandatory. What were they?
You need superintendent services.
Yeah? Okay, so that's the two, that superintendent services and a BA. All right, so
But
curriculum
no particular
coordinator,
hours.
student services director.
You have a receptionist / administrative assistant down there as well.
Yep.
There's no way that you can't pull up that budget that we did on that from the last meeting?
I can check real quick. But can I finish doing this email first? Okay, good, because if not, I'll lose it, because I'm not that good on this yet.
Save it.
Yeah, that's great. If I knew which button to push, Ralph, that would be
I
super.
don't know which button to push.
I'm just looking.
I just heard the term used before, and
Okay.
Oh,
I
save
figured
it.
I'd throw it out there.
Good.
Yeah, well,
Hmm.
that's my 2 cents. That's my
Okay.
2 cents.
Sent. All right, let's see what I can do here. I think I have my laptop. I don't think I have this.
Yes, I think we said we weren't gonna do a curriculum coordinator, a transportation director, and facilities director. And we were hoping to get a multitasking superintendent.
Mm-hmm.
That could either do curriculum or student services. Because a superintendent, they're gonna be able to multitask.
Well, with less to do, with less
Right.
issues to take care of, they'd have the time.
They should definitely be able to have the time to either do student services or curriculum.
And, it may be that the qualified candidate would already have those experiences, and he may expect a little more money because of that, but
Give them an extra day of vacation.
half day, please. Not get too foolish.
Yeah, I can't pull it up on this. I'm sorry, I didn't save it.
I mean, there are some positions there that we figured we would not have.
Yes,
Not
but we
need.
still have to know what jobs they do so that they can be incorporated into someone else's description.
I thought he already understood that explanation.
That's what I mean, I'm not saying because that's what we're gonna do,
Right.
what they do, like the court advocate and outsourced children need to be taken care of, and someone's gonna have to do that, so we're gonna have to figure out who's gonna do it. We're gonna need a Superman, a woman.
Not the Green-
Multitasking
Not the Green
demon.
Lantern, though.
Hmm?
Not the Green Lantern.
Maybe.
Do you have a large special education department here? A lot of students to be serviced?
I don't think it's super big, but it's big enough that you need someone to take care of it.
Yeah.
And we have in-house people already, but I'm not sure, they don't take, well, you know what, they do take care of the high school students, because if you go to an IEP meeting, the ones from Wakefield are always present at Rochester. So I don't know if it's like out-of-district placements. I think that I believe that the people in this building take care of the Rochester Place children, but I'm not sure, court advocates and things like that, and other situations that come up, I believe that that's done by Ann on a different level.
Okay, I was just wondering, because I know I worked with someone who did this, and it was a big deal to make sure that the IEPs were being met.
Absolutely.
And I just don't want you to get hurt.
Well, we never want to go back to where we were a few years ago when IEPs were not done in a timely fashion, and we were in utter chaos because it put us in jeopardy as a district, and that was not a nice place to be, and I think that's why we have so many. We'll have to look at the positions that we have in place, because we just hired someone, the child find woman just got hired full-time as a court advocate as well.
To look at their workload, their caseloads.
Mhm. And you know, really and truly, you don't want your principal leaving the building 3 times a week to go to a court hearing. He can, if he has to, that would be great, you know, necessary, but you'd prefer that not to happen.
Right.
Anything else? I don't know. Anything else you want me to put in the notes? Those 3 emails got sent.
Can you make a note that maybe that last worksheet we had at the last meeting, did you already email it?
I think
to
I already
us?
emailed it to all of you. I
The
can
budget?
actually, let me check that, because it could be on my sent.
Because I couldn't find it, but you may have sent it, and I just, my technological skills
That worksheet.
are impaired.
I think I did. I think I got home and sent it that, or I think I sent it here while we were still at the meeting.
I don't recall seeing it.
Could you resend it?
Yeah, I'll resend it, definitely.
Wait up.
No.
I'll write them for you.
Is that good?
No, should we put the, well, check on the module, what the situation is? The
Well,
mo-
that's gonna be a walk, and Ralph is,
That's a big part of it. I mean, if we could take that just solves all the problems.
Ralph checking on Wallace Hill.
But weren't you thinking of using that for preschool?
I think, you know what, to be honest, we have a great preschool in town right now.
Mhm.
I can't imagine that we would want to put them out of business.
They've been here as long as
They have
I've
been here, they
come
are an
up here.
institution in this town.
Right?
Yes, and
Yeah.
parents use it, some
I
parents
had
don't
Hazel.
use it, but I can't imagine
Well,
I can't
She was on
imagine.
the
My
cover of one
nursery
of the
school
phone
teacher.
books, too.
Connie, yes, she's one of our selectmen, and she has been an advocate for early childhood education for as long as I can remember. And I can't imagine that we would want to pull typical students out of their environment, out of a solid business in the community. I would rather work in alliance with them than have their doors closed, personally. I just think that, we're not in the business to close businesses, successful businesses. And if you offer free tuition in a public school, and I would think if we were going to add another grade, that would have to go before the people.
Yeah.
And that just, I don't know. I think you should advocate to work with the people.
You know, at one meeting, Mr. Tracy and the special ed director said they were expanding that program.
They should ask, right?
Yeah, I think that's probably a great idea, because why are you expanding that program? All you really need to do by law is to take the kids that need that early childhood stuff, whatever it is, for bright beginnings. Why would you expand that program and bring it into the school? 3-year-olds running around with 8th graders? I don't get that at all. Maybe that's something you guys could ask. But I think that's crazy.
I think we already have.
Good.
And I think that,
Well, can I have the answer why? Steve?
I think they were looking at what would accommodate, but they didn't have, during that, I think the meeting that you're talking about, they didn't realize that we had Ann knew that we had an established one. And I think that they got the point that we weren't interested in expanding. We weren't interested. What our biggest concern is why are the 2 typicals that are enrolled not paying tuition?
And isn't there like 7 typicals or 2?
There is a lot of controversy of what's happening this year in regards to numbers, and we're having a meeting on that in our policy. We're dealing with that in our policy committee right now, because, and Ann is very vigilant on knowing that permissions and, approvals for things were given out.
I was just wondering, I know
Yep.
they brought that up.
I don't necessarily think that it's something that any of us have agreed on yet.
No.
No.
Okay, so I just put that, a PowerPoint for the public, budget, staff, pros, scheduled a walk. I emailed, resend the spreadsheet to all of you, and you're going to check on the Wallace Hill donation of land and see if we still own that, if that's
Yeah.
part of it.
I think that's one of the parcels that they wanted to do the lot line adjustment about.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. Anything else? Do you have anything else you want me to add?
No, I think that.
Should we,
that was it.
should we ask, at some point, if people in town can come up with the cons? If they have a list of concerns that, that we haven't thought of?
Yeah.
But why are you trying to drive the negative of it?
I'm not trying to drive it. I'm thinking that
it's a positive for everyone, including Milton. They get to have all their meetings in Milton now.
But there may be a point that we're missing, Steve.
There may be something that the parents feel more strongly about than we don't know.
Well, a point is one thing, but to just, we need to find the negatives of this. What if there are no negatives?
Well,
All right,
that's good.
So the public opinion, Ralph.
Right,
We
yes.
should get the public, he's asking for public
Well,
opinion.
maybe you could ask them to come to our next meeting. Now that you're on camera, you could ask them to come.
To show up.
Come to the
Show
next-
up. Come to the meeting, show up. Anything else?
For what? What are they?
Please.
What are they coming for?
For the SAU withdrawal, so that Milton can have all their meetings in Milton.
For public opinion.
For their public opinion in regards to the withdrawal
We
from
would like their
from
input,
Milton.
I think. I think their input is crucial.
Please.
Please.
Absolutely. I don't think anyone ever said that we don't want public input.
Okay.
Okay.
Especially if it's negative.
I know.
Precisely.
I know.
Oh my God.
Anything else? I think I can't think of. I think we've touched on
You touched on
You're
it.
touched, okay.
pretty much everything. We got budget. We got personnel. Budget. We've discussed where it's going to go.
We're gonna have a walkthrough.
Walkthrough.
Yep.
But we've touched on that.
And the job description should be
Job-
coming to all of us. So at our
job
next
description.
meeting, Mr. Chair, what would you like us to have in place? Or can we do this via email and get everybody on the same page? Or what's your next move?
Well, we probably want to get some of that information.
Yeah, because we're gonna have to figure out what we actually need for jobs.
Right.
We're gonna have to probably put a salary to them too.
We've already done that.
Your
Well,
guesstimatation
well,
of
right.
making it fit within the numbers for that other district without going over or under.
Which is, they're the same size district.
They are.
They're
Different
the
county.
same size district. So why would anybody want to expand? I mean, okay,
Not saying-
They might not have the
maybe if there's one position that everyone could agree on, but we won't like, either student services director or curriculum development or curriculum development.
Coordinator.
Right. But hopefully, we're gonna be able to get a superintendent who's gonna be able to do not only superintendent, but either student services or curriculum development. We're gonna need to have people multitasking. Because if it can be done now, and now they're gonna have all that, they're not gonna have 3 other buildings that they need to take care of. So that it should be quite easy to increase their productivity with all that extra time. So, yeah, I think we get that information, we should
Okay.
be able to move forward to
All right.
the next.
Perfect.
When do people like to meet again?
Can we see what information we get and maybe figure it out next week?
And if nothing sooner, we'll just bring our heads together at that 4:30 before our next school board meeting,
Yeah.
if nothing
Yep.
else is necessary. I mean, if something becomes necessary to meet for, then we should meet before that, but if not, why not 4:30?
Well, with the job descriptions, we're probably gonna need,
We'll be walking around the building, we can
Some,
communicate, probably multitask while we're walking.
well, some of us, I
You can
believe
chew
that
gum,
you
too.
can.
I can walk and I can talk, but I can't chew gum at the same time.
So we'll just wait till next week and you don't wanna set another meeting after that?
Not right now.
Well, let's wait till that time.
Let's wait.
Can we just wait and see what happens? I want to have time to read over all of the job descriptions and kind of filter out who does what, and maybe make a phone call up to the other district and say, what are your job descriptions?
I just came up with a con. Too many meetings on this issue.
It's worth it.
Couldn't you just ask the other district to send their job descriptions?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Just so you'd have them both right there at the
Yeah,
same time.
and I just want to kind of, what the differences are. That's all I'm going to do.
Might be less than what we're thinking.
Right.
Maybe. They might not have as many special education services. It's really going to, I don't know what their district,
We need to
Their
see-
makeup of their
we need to
district
see where
is.
we are with
Yeah.
the job descriptions first.
All right,
Do you need a motion to adjourn this meeting for the SAU withdrawal subcommittee meeting?
how about it?
Well, if it's necessary, I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? I'll second it. Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Is anybody going to the